Porterfield. I say all that to say that together our president shares a commitment to justice, equity, and accountability in Schenectady County and beyond. Oh, excuse me, we also have Dustin Reedy with us here today from Albany County Legislature. As a part of today's observance, the legislature is also issuing a resolution recognizing Dr. King's life, leadership, and enduring influence, while reaffirming our responsibility to promote dignity, fairness, and nonviolence, civic engagement, and service in our community. It acknowledges both how far we've come and how much work remains. Here is the resolution. I will not read it. I just kind of gave some words about what it said. So we were honored to take that up at our last meeting this past Tuesday. I also want to thank the Schenectady County Human Rights Commission for organizing today's observance and its executive director, Arthur Butler, for his leadership. The commission is made up of dedicated volunteers who give their time and energy protecting human dignity and advancing fairness for all. Their commitment reflects the very values Dr. King lived by, and we are grateful for their service. Dr. King confronted the deepest injustices of his time: voter suppression, economic exploitation, state-sanctioned violence, and the silencing of black voices. These were not abstract ideas, they were lived realities. And while history moves forward, many of those same struggles still confront us today through efforts to minimize harm, rewrite history, or decide which truths are acceptable to remember. That is why remembrance matters. Remembering is an act of accountability. Naming harm is not about dwelling in the past, it is about preventing its repetition. Honoring Dr. King requires honesty, courage, and commitment. For me, this work is deeply personal. Dr. King and I share the same alma mater, Morehouse College, where we are taught to stand in the gap for others, where we are taught to lead through service, and where we are taught to leave a mark by helping humanity in any way we can. It is an honor to call him a Morehouse brother and a responsibility that I do not take lightly. Dr. King led with the people at the center of his decision making. He listened to those on the margins. He chose courage over comfort and conviction over convenience. His life reminds us that progress has never come from silence or neutrality, but from action. So today, our call is clear. Move beyond admiration to action, beyond celebration to commitment, and beyond the dream to duty. Each of us do have a role to play in our communities, our institutions, and our public service. The question is not whether Dr. King's work is finished. The question is whether we are willing to continue. Thank you very much.
We'll have to ask all of our speakers until we figure things out to just use their outside voices. Before we had all this technology, we were able to get it done. So again, my name is Arthur Butler on behalf of Schenectady County Human Rights Commission. I want to thank you for being here. And we're here not just to commemorate Dr. King, but to engage with the hard, unfinished work. Okay? Because that work that he did demands us to do so. Dr. King's vision of the beloved community was never about comfort or consciousness. It was about justice. It was about confronting systems that deny dignity, that redistribute harm, challenge inequality, and it was about collectively responsibility. That we are each other's keeper. It was about ordinary people organizing. It was about ordinary people speaking the truth. It was about refusing to accept injustice and to make sure that we didn't have to continually remind each other of the harms. Here in Schenectady County, we know that history and struggle are not abstract. This community has been shaped by labor organizing, by migration, redlining, environmental harm, unequal access to housing, education, and economic opportunity. We know that discrimination has not always worn the language of hate. It has often appeared in policy as neglect or silence, and as decisions made without the voices that those decisions impact the most. This observance will not only celebrate Dr. King's life and vision, we hope that it confronts the reality that shaped civil rights movement. Our program today intentionally examines how past injustices are mirrored in present-day attempts to minimize, rewrite, or erase moments of racial violence and resistance, no matter how uncomfortable those truths may be. We are clear in our belief, remembering it's an act of accountability, as Omar mentioned, that it names the harm that's necessary to prevent the repeating of history. But we see history repeating itself, and all the actions that we hear about, see go into place, see take effect when we walk in the doors and apply for housing, jobs, when we're neglected, when we are seen as invisible, as we're seen as indivisible. As the Human Rights Commission, our work is rooted in this principle. We investigate discrimination. We advocate for fairness in housing, employment, education, and public accommodations. The beloved community that Dr. King spoke about was not built on denial, censorship, or selective memory. It requires telling the truth, protection of civil liberties, and a willingness to challenge systems that perpetuate harm, even when doing so is unpopular or uncomfortable. In this moment, gathering is itself a form of action. Being here is a refusal to allow Dr. King's legacy to be reduced. Our theme, From Dream to Duty, is a call to move beyond symbolism, recognize and create and sustain engagement towards organizing, accountability, and shared responsibility. The question before us here today is not whether Dr. King's dreams still matter. The question is whether we are willing to accept our duty to carry it forward. So we ask you to ask yourself, are we actually better off today than we were yesterday? From my own personal life's journey, I can tell you that the things that my parents and that my grandparents fought so hard for have slipped away. The things that they told me that I needed to do to prepare myself for the moment in time that I was going to step forth and be seen as a black man have slipped away. Are we better off than the stories that our parents and grandparents told us about? When we talk about health care, we have to ask, do all residents of Schenectady County have meaningful access to care? Or does access still depend on income, zip code, insurance status, language, or immigration status? Are people able to get preventative care before a crisis, or only treatment after harm has already been done? When we talk about housing, Are families more secure today, or are they one rent increase, one eviction notice, or one emergency away from displacement? Who gets to stay in Schenectady? Who is being priced out, surveilled, criminalized simply because of being unhoused? When we talk about the criminal legal system, we have to ask, does it deliver justice? Or does it disproportionately punish poverty, mental health, mental illness, and race? Are people met with support and services, or with handcuffs and incarceration? Do residents trust that the systems will protect them, or do too many experience it as something done to them rather than for them? So today, I invite you to think honestly about where you are. Where is your access? Where is your safety? Where is your stability? And just as importantly, where do you want Schenectady County to be? The beloved community does not exist where inequality is ignored or explained away. It exists where people are willing to confront uncomfortable truth and to organize towards change. From dream to duty asks us to measure progress not by intention, but by impact, and to commit ourselves to closing the gaps between where we are and where we claim to be going. This is the work before us. This is the responsibility that we inherit today. These are the things that keep me up at night. These are the things that challenge me when I walk in the store and I'm followed as if I'm a thief and not someone there to shop. These are the things that I worry about when I show up for a job interview, and no matter what my experience, they tell me that I'm overqualified but not good enough for the job. So imagine those things. Imagine trying to stay true to the love and the heritage and those dreams and aspirations of my mom and my grandparents and all that they went through. What do I tell my grandkids? That we failed? That they have nothing to look forward to? That they just have to take whatever's given to you? Don't matter about being better than, as our professors told us. Don't matter that we have to run faster, think smarter, jump higher. That no matter how fast, how hard, how high, we still get the low bar. So I encourage you, as well as thank you for coming out, because your presence says that something matters to you. That somebody told you a story of how we can get over it. That somebody reminded you how to make potato salad out of 2 potatoes. How to feed a neighborhood on very little. How to share love when all hope is gone. So as we continue in our educational and motivational presentation today, keep these things in your mind so that the answers that hopefully come up will help to erase hate, harm, inequality, and injustice. We have another video coming, and after that, our Congressman Tomko, who I love dearly, will come and deliver remarks. And I forgot to just mention that all of my commissioners on the Human Rights Commission, if you're in the audience, just please stand, please, so that folks will know who you are. My pal Gordon, who's the man. All right.
Most of us know our country fought a civil war in the 1860s, but less is known about what came afterward, a chaotic, exhilarating, and ultimately devastating period known as Reconstruction. It was a moment of profound change with promises of citizenship and equal rights for all. One of the greatest achievements of Reconstruction was granting black men the right to vote. In 1867 alone, over 80% of all the black men in the former Confederate states registered to vote. 3 years later, Hiram Revels was elected the first black man to serve in the United States Senate, and Joseph Rainey became the first black United States Congressman. Their election paved the way for more than 2,000 black office holders who served at every level of government during Reconstruction.
There are not many moments in recorded human history where a group that was so subordinated would, within the space of a decade, actually be integrated into the highest echelons of political society.
But the momentum wouldn't last. Black men's access to the ballot box, along with other key rights gained during Reconstruction, were rolled back systematically throughout the South. In 1875, near the end of Reconstruction, the 44th Congress included 7 black House members and a United States Senator. By 1900, only one remained, Congressman George Henry White of North Carolina.
By the time George H. White leaves office in 1901, he literally turns the light off on national black political leadership. No one will come behind him for an entire generation.
One of the cruel ironies of Reconstruction is that black people could claim certain rights in the 1870s that they would have to fight to reclaim in the 1960s. A sobering reminder that achievements thought permanent can be overturned and rights can never be taken for granted.
With that, we give you.
Thank you, Carmen, for all the wonderful work you do. Thank you to the commissioners for the efforts on behalf of human rights in Schenectady County. My fellow colleagues in government from all different levels, thank you for your service to community. And to everyone here, thank you for your presence. Probably more importantly, thank you for your activism to make certain that we grow that better world. And it's so important that we have a situation like a moment, a day of reflection, which should be every day of the year, so where we formally can come together and reflect upon the greatness of this individual, of Dr. King's dream, of his desire to respond to the opportunities that this nation provides. If they've been ignored, if they've been denied, if they have not been utilized to the nth degree, he reminds us that we are those troubadours for justice. And we talk by example. So today we honor that legend, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We honor his commitment, we honor his desire, the impact that he made on communities, on individuals. And I would suggest a number of people in this room, I would include myself, were touched by his contribution to our American history, to be inspired to serve in a public capacity or in a volunteer capacity to build that better community, that beloved community. I think it's important for us to reflect upon the achievements that he made. And I love the theme this year, making certain that the duty is attached to the dream. The dream was a moment of recognition of unfinished business, of challenges to this nation. And the duty that we all bear is the responsibility to address the unfinished business, to continue the formulation of the dream. I would suggest that Martin's words resonate more powerfully today than they even did in the 60s. think the soulfulness of his expression, the outright righteousness of his mission reminds me that there are important things to build. Just as we learned from Reconstruction, right? The moment of empowerment that easily flee. And now it is important for us to make certain that we are all agents of building that dream to its full capacity. And it was like Martin, I believe, took that message from the Franklins, we the people, in search of a more perfect union. And as I said, there's much wrong, much injustice that can be addressed by our government, by our society, by us as people, if we put ourselves into that struggle to make a difference, to make certain that truth to power is something that we embrace. So there's no denying that Martin's actions were bold, his words were powerful, and his vision was inspirational. To share such a vision, to be able to challenge all of us on either side of wealth and opportunity that existed for few, or those who were in struggle, who were denied and left behind, the forgotten, the frail, the people in society pushed to the corners of society that were marginal. All of us on both sides and both extremes of that equation have the opportunity to soulfully reflect on the perfection that needs to guide us so that we can uniquely say we have achieved that dream that was so bold and so present in Martin's efforts in his time on this earth, which was rather short. You know, we think of the 58 years that have passed since his involvement, since his work on the sanitation workers that then saw his assassination. There's still an effort to be made to move forward. And the duty today is expressing things that we still see that drove him into a plan of action. Things like, government-supported violence, government-sanctioned violence, voter suppression, the silencing of voices, many of them of people of color, and working through economic situations that were troubling and still exist today. Many suggest we have two economies in this world. So there is a lot of work to be done. I had the honor to work with Congressman John Lewis in the House of Representatives, an icon of history of the civil rights movement, the last to survive from the March on Washington, with those who had delivered comments at the Lincoln Memorial. And it was an honor to establish a Brother John, Brother Paul relationship with him. And he would always say, Brother Paul, make trouble, good trouble. And we thank Martin Luther King for inspiring the trouble, the good trouble that brought about social justice, that brought about economic equality, that began that journey. And he suggested to all of us that that arc of the moral universe can be bent to be more just simply by our power, our infusion of justice from the dream inspired by Martin Luther King. I look at the injustice that exists today, the outright boldness of taking away, rolling back situations that were fought for, brutally fought for. Brother John Lewis was left for dead. He told me as we crossed the Pettus Bridge together on the 50th anniversary of the march, we were arm in arm, and he said, we're walking over the bridge. And my buddy said to me, Representative Lewis's buddy said to him, can you swim, John? And he said, no. He said, you better learn fast. And I said, well, tell me more about what it looked like that day. He said, we're in the midst of the bridge. And he said, right at the edge of the bridge were a number of people equipped with clubs, with guns, whatever, deputized the Friday night before. Does that sound familiar? We're living in a world with ICE, violating the rights of individuals, claiming they're gathering criminals and deporting them and incarcerating stats are telling us something different. We have injustice as it comes to not advancing an affordable, accessible agenda for healthcare that was put into place by the work of President Obama. And we're allowing for those premiums to just evaporate. The tax credits that were part of that premium to make life affordable, healthcare affordable, denied by the callousness of leadership today. Perhaps intentional cruelty. I don't know what else we could call it. We look at the efforts that are made now to impose ICE in our communities, to take over and build a divide in the community. Look at the efforts that were made in this very room as we came together speaking out about the resources that are required to address the hungry in our communities. A court had to step in and say, these funds set aside by Congress for a situation like that existed, where the budget was not yet complete, was arranged so that the hunger programs can continue. The court stepped in, there was a federal judge from Rhode Island to say, you need to release those dollars. And he still denied, the president still denied the legality of those resources. He said he had to check out the legality, the constitutionality of it. When the judge himself iterated in the decision, they are correctly constructed, they need to be advanced, they need to be distributed to the communities. They're still ignoring the wishes of the justice, of the judicial system. So we see all this work somewhat rolling back. The attacks on DEI, it worked so desperately well. And we saw advancement, we saw people growing in the process, but we saw empowerment given to individuals so that the peoplescape in public situations, in private situations, found us reflecting a greater sense of peoplescape of this nation. Celebrating our diversity, not denouncing it, not denying it, not dealing with it, as some will say. It's a celebratory moment. It's what addresses the definition of America, and it's what Martin knew. He fought for everyone, beyond creed, beyond race, beyond ethnicity. His was a mission to make all of us strong as he lifted a nation. His voice was one of aspiration. And we need that sort of leadership today, where we're taking people to that higher ground, where Martin saw that vision. He had that vision of coming to the mountaintop. And we honor that recognition today, and we commit through ceremonies like this and reflections of this weekend that we have that duty, that responsibility that we need to embrace with great passion to make a true difference. So we march on, we do it arm in arm, we commit to the dream, and we know that we are better than we were before the dream was shared with us. And we're only improving on that dream if we commit to it and not reduce it and denounce it and roll back progress that was achieved through decades of hard work. Let the reconstruction moment speak to us. Let the dream speak to us. Let the present moment challenge us. And may the dream inspire us. May Martin's words echo within our being so that we deliver and respond in a way that is truly building a better America, a just America, a free America, a creative America that allows everyone to reach her or his potential. So great to be with you all this afternoon. This is an inspirational moment to know that so many people are willing to share time together to build that dream, to commit to the dream, and to acknowledge that Martin was there to make us a better people. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
There are people that want me to be quiet. They don't like what I say, they don't like how I say it. That I will remind everyone that racism is real, that black folks still face injustice every single day, and that The prison industrial complex is only part of the problem. Ooh, the mic came on, that's hot. They didn't want me to yell no more. The prison industrial complex is only part of the problem. Police brutality is still real in the city, in the county, in the state, and in the nation. It did not end. It changed what it looks like. But black folks get hemmed up just for walking down the street in the city of Schenectady. 14-year-old boys ride bicycles and get harassed by police officers in the city of Schenectady. School board members running for re-election are told not to say free Palestine or that they won't get re-elected. I got re-elected, unapologetically. Because like Dr. King, I call for the freedom of all people regardless of where they are and where they live. And if we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna be about it. And recognize that the United States continues to harm people domestically and abroad. I stand before you today to offer words about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., about what it truly means to move from dream to duty. This weekend, people will gather in a whole bunch of different ways. Some will attend events meant to honor Dr. King's legacy. Others will go to games, brunches, or celebrations that bear his name, but not his mission. And while community matters, reflection matters, there is a deeper responsibility that cannot be ignored, but it often is. Dr. King did not just dream, he demanded. He organized, he disrupted, he confronted this country, domestically and abroad, about its failures to live up to its promises. Because when the founder said, "we the people," he wasn't talking about me. He wasn't talking about a whole bunch of folks in this room right now. Those founders were not thinking about us, but we demand that we be included. There is a duty to carry his legacy forward, just as there is a duty to carry the legacy of so many freedom fighters who understood that dreams without action become decoration. Like the naming of a street without investing in that same community. Dr. King did not ask politely for change. He applied pressure. People quote Dr. King constantly. It actually annoys the hell out of me. I had someone tell me online recently, just keep it peaceful. That's what Dr. King wanted. Peaceful ain't quiet, y'all. And I do believe Dr. King would approve of the things I've done and the way I've done it. Dr. King wanted freedom for all of us. Dr. King wanted an end to racism, militarism, and economic exploitation. The fact that anyone works a job and can't pay their bills is a problem. He marched in the streets, he supported boycotts, he was arrested. We've got that in common. He was surveilled, as charged, he was hated. I know what that feels like. And far too often his words are now used not to advance justice, but to quiet us, to silence us, to placate us, to shame the protest, and to slow down change. But to maintain order instead of confronting injustice is not what Dr. King would do. So if we do those things, we're not honoring Dr. King, we're simply misusing him. And those in power do that quite often. Direct action is not optional. If we want to claim his legacy, it is our duty, right? We're going from the dream to the duty. The duty is direct action. Dr. King was explicit about this. It's not a thought, or maybe that's how he felt. Direct action was a part of his calling. He called upon people to show up, to disrupt unjust systems, and to refuse silence in the face of oppression. Stop being quiet. Dr. King was not a symbol of comfort. He was a radical organizer. He was radical, y'all. He was not well-liked. He didn't have some powerful percentage of individuals that cared about him, that loved him, that were supporting him. Like 30% thought that he was a good guy. Everybody else hated him. And today we stand here saying he was an amazing person, and we should follow him. He stood with workers, the poor, the incarcerated. That's right, folks that have been charged are still human beings and should be treated as such, should have housing, and food, and the ability to come back to their communities without the scarlet letter following them for the rest of their lives, simply to return back to the box. But we have too many that are treated as disposable, as less than. Dr. King was not looking for applause. He demanded transformation. Civil Rights Act was a stepping stone. It was not the end. His legacy is not about having a day off, or at least it shouldn't be. It's not about having a quote on a flyer. It's not about a game or a ceremony that's disconnected from the struggle that still exists every single day. Dr. King famously said, "A riot is the language of the unheard." He didn't say don't do it. He told you what it was about. It was an indictment. He was naming America's failure to listen, America's failure to deliver freedom, justice, and economic dignity to Black people. He was clear that the country values order over justice, quiet over truth, and tranquility over accountability. Look at where we are today. Congressman Tonko pointed it out. Look at where we are today. Folks are fussing, and rightly so, about the presence of ICE in our communities. They're police. They are policing. They are built on the same structure that was already here. Them being worse doesn't change who they are, what they're doing, and why they're doing it. We didn't stop it back in 2020. When we all showed up in the streets and demanded an end to police brutality. We didn't end it. ICE couldn't be here today if we would have ended it. And if we stop ICE, but then we just say, well, policing is fine, it'll be back. So please recognize that peace does not mean silence, and it sure as hell don't mean comfort. Riots don't come out of nowhere. They were born from unbearable conditions, unbearable conditions, unbearable conditions. Conditions created by policy, by practice, by neglect, by violence, by indifference, and then when people respond, y'all are gonna be mad at us. Instead of looking at the systems and structures that created the situation in the first place. Violence is allowed, and it's excused, and it's even justified when used against the people calling for freedom. But violence is criminalized when it's in the self-defense of freedom. So when people say just be peaceful, and I laugh, they say Dr. King wanted it that way, they're offering an oversimplification of his work, a distortion of his message, and a false interpretation of what he actually believed. He believed in direct action. He believed in change and transformation. He believed in all of us. Events like these, they matter. They matter a lot. They inspire reflection and connection. But this is not confrontation. If we gather year after year to celebrate him without ever confronting ongoing racism, police violence, war, dehumanization, and economic exploitation, then we're not carrying his legacy forward. We're just putting his name on something. And remember that silence in face of injustice, it's not just neutrality. It is complicity. From dream to duty means we stop romanticizing the past and start answering demands of the present. It means we reclaim Dr. King not as comfort, but as a challenge, as a call to action. You heard Arthur say it, call to action. The question is not whether we honor Dr. King. The question is, how are we honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? How? Are we willing to do what he did? I am. Or do we want to continue to justify the laws, policies, system structures, and institutions he actually fought against? As another freedom fighter, Assata Shakur, reminded us, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have absolutely nothing to lose but our chains, and many of us are still in chains. As I stand here in front of you today, I stand in chains. Simply for existing, for daring to say words, for showing up at a city council meeting, for standing at the state capitol, for being unapologetic when I sit on a school board and saying the things that nobody else would have said. If today is enough for you, if today is all that you have and all that you're gonna do, you're not honoring King. So if you're in this space because you honor King, because you believed in his message and you thought that he was the good guy doing the right thing, and you want to follow in his footsteps, and as a woman of faith, you know there was another guy that did a good thing, that'd be Jesus. Folks talk about following Jesus and following his teachings. If y'all came here and this is it, it's not enough. You're simply supporting the ongoing attacks on black folks if this is all you do. You're further supporting the fact that LGBTQ folks can't simply be themselves and exist. I say that as a bisexual black woman born on Hamilton Hill. Remembering the day that I was brave enough to tell folks I was bisexual because everybody felt real comfortable about me being a straight girl. I had to have a day for that. I couldn't just be. So if this is it for you, then you don't care that anybody has that story. That there are folks still not willing to be their true selves because they could be arrested for existing, for showing up and making somebody uncomfortable because they wanted to wear a skirt or heels or whatever. Currently and formerly incarcerated folks are human beings who do not deserve to be beaten or mistreated or not get their medication simply because they were convicted of a crime. And I'm gonna say convicted of a crime because the number of people that are currently sitting in our jails and prisons that are innocent of all charges. If it's more than one, it's too many. And even if they did the thing they said they did, they're human beings. The Department of Corrections is supposed to be about correcting behavior because 80% of those folks are coming back to our communities, but you're torturing them, you're beating them, and you say, well, then they shouldn't have done the crime. That's not the punishment. The punishment is they were removed from our communities. And I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on this because too many people don't talk about it. Folks go to prison, the punishment is being away from your family, away from your community. That's it. You should still be fed and taken care of and treated like a human being, regardless of your crime. And I stand here saying that to you as a rape survivor. So if this is it, if this is all you could do, be real about it and be like, yeah, I got nothing else. But if you want to stand with me and a whole bunch of other folks that are in this room, because I'm not alone, do it. Find the time and the place to show up, to do something, to do anything, to go to the next meeting, the next community conversation, to be at the city council meetings, to be a constant presence, to come to school board meetings and listen to what they're saying about our babies every single day, to organize in spaces of likeness because people believe all of us deserve dignity and respect. If you're willing to do that, then yes, you do honor Dr. King. If not, just stop lying to us. Thank you.